Okay, I am absolutely live now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to understand the planets. Okay, um, more than before we go into Navamsha, it's actually very important to understand what the planet stands for. Now, if I was to actually tell you everything the planet stands for, it's probably I would say like 400 things, 400 items. Uh, but I'm going to describe to you some of the most important things represented by a planet starting from the sun. So when you even judge a transit, so sun is transiting, let's say this house, what influence it's going to give related to the items that it's showing, So we'll try to understand that. So today we're going to start from our beloved planet, sun, okay? And what the sun represents. And obviously, as you know, sun in astrology is known as a planet. And obviously, all those who are scientific people who follow science and praise science and just think science is actually what we should know don't understand that in Vedic astrology, okay, sun is actually known as a graha, not a planet, but a graha, that which influences us, that which moves across the sky. So we call it planet because it's easier. For me, just I call it planet. But that doesn't mean that that's what it is. It is not a planet. Um, it is actually the king. It is actually the creator of our solar system, right? It's known as the star. So just before we get started, we just want to let all the scientific people know that it is not really known as a planet. It is a graha. And sun has about 108 names. Okay, but some of the basic names that we know of is Sun, Surya, Aditya, Ravi, Indra, Banu, Vasudeva, Jaya. These are some basic names of the sun. And sun, first of all, is known as the reincarnation of Lord Ram. Lord Ram is not the reincarnation of the sun who came on this planet. No, sun is the reincarnation of Lord Rama. So science is if these this is the if this is the information given by the Vedas or any old Chinese, Middle Eastern cultural texts which were written thousands and thousands of years ago, if this is the information that they're giving us, then science right now is right there. And because they only know this much, we feel that this thing is actually this big. For us, for most people, how can this be a reincarnation of some god? What are you talking about? This is a thing made up of gas and combustion, and nuclear uh, explosions and whatnot. But again, science is because it's right there at the bottom. We magnify it and we only look at that. We don't look beyond. So it is a reincarnation of Lord Ram. Sun is known as the soul of all human beings. Soul is something which is pure. Okay? And whereas, so think of sun like a flashlight. Okay? Think of sun as like this or like a lamp. You know when you put a lamp? Lamp only um, gives the light just a little bit outside of its surface. Okay? But rest of the things become quite dark. So if I have a dark room and I put a lamp, which is the sun, and I put the lamp here on my desk, what's going to happen is I'm just going to get this much light at night, just around this area. Rest of it is going to be just dark, 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 dark. Same thing happens with the birth chart. Wherever the sun is, whichever house sun is in, just put it as this little diya on that particular house, and just that house is illuminated. The rest of the house then becomes fading out, dark, 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 dark. So the soul which is reborn, the soul which is here to accomplish the karmas, position of the sun will show exactly which part the soul will concentrate on, will deal with, and will try to execute its karma by that thing. So let's say sun is in the 9th house. Okay? So that means just think of the entire chart being dark. And just that little 9th house is lit. Okay? So now the soul is here to execute its karmas, its pending karmas, all the good and bad deeds that it needs to face through the 9th house, which is by traveling through the father, engaging with gurus, engaging with counselors, trying to attain higher studies, or trying to attain or getting struggles towards attaining higher dharmic studies. So sun can represent the polarity of the soul. Soul is either going to destroy the 9th house as part of its karma, or soul is here to embrace the 9th house. But look at sun. Forget about everything else. Wherever the sun is, that's where everything is. That's how the soul wants to execute things. So let's say somebody is a murderer with sun in the 9th house. Somebody's a serial killer with a sun in the 9th house. They're going to execute their karma either by killing men who were fathers, by traveling to a distant place, to some different country, different land to kill someone, or the man will kill people who were either priests or very dharmic individuals. So just because sun is in the 9th house doesn't mean it's going to be all good. It's all going to be candies and all the sweets. No, it just simply shows how the execution of the karma will happen through the soul. That soul. And sun, which represents light. See, sun represents light. Right now, sun is outside shining. So it's representing light. Everything which is light is the sun. Whether it's your flashlight, light bulb, the actual light of the sun, okay? Anything that has light in it, protons, those things are sun. Proton cannot exist without sun. And this is why sun is the #1 karka and significator of Jyotish, astrology. Astrology is not Ketu first. Astrology is not Jupiter first. Astrology is not moon. Astrology is sun. Sun is the #1 karka of Jyotish and astrology. Why Jyotish? Jyotish, as you all know, or some of you may not know, is known as light of God. The light on the path. So again, light comes into play. If there's light, that has to be sun. So sun is the creator of Jyotish, because with sun, the other planets came about. Or at least we could see the planets. Now, there's obviously stories that planets are devtas who came from other places to balance Earth. So there's all these things you can think of, but mainly sun. Without sun, the knowledge of astrology will not be here. So if you want to see if somebody's an astrologer, you gotta look at the strength of their sun. How is their sun in the birth chart? How is their sun in Navamsha? How is their sun especially in Dwara Damsha, the D12 chart? So especially if you're gonna see, what type of astrology this person's gonna do, will they have interest in astrology? Besides these two charts, D12 is the main chart to go to. And D12 chart represents the lineage. So D12 chart is strongly connected with Sun. Sun obviously is a very hot, fiery planet. So fire, heat, firemen are seen through the Sun. Anything which is warm, so it's barbecues. Your stove is the Sun. Anything which is heat, hot, fire is the Sun. When it comes to places, okay, so like which place this person can travel to, which place this person is gonna live in, okay, well, is seen by looking at the significance of the planet. So Sun represents forest, trees, temple, mosques, churches, government buildings, any place with porticos, like pillars and porticos or arches is the Sun. Because Sun also represents castle. Why? Because Sun is the king. So wherever the king lives, that's what's represented by the Sun. And especially stones. Any building made of stones is represented by the Sun. Because back in the days, castles were made of stones. So Sun represents stone, and stones are formed through the Sun. Sun represents mountains and highest peaks. So Mount Everest peak is the Sun. Why are mountains Sun? Think about it. Sun, wherever it is, no matter where you are in the world, no matter how far you are, no matter how low you are, you will always see the Sun. Sun can be seen from far, far away because it is far. The mountains can be seen from far, far away. Mountain peaks can be seen. You may not see the bottom of the mountain sometimes, but you can always see the peak when you're driving. So that's the Sun. So you can probably see, and obviously mountains and hill stations and peaks are represented by the sign of Leo. So a person with Sun in Leo can live in such places or would want to live in such places. And obviously Sun represents lion. All the behaviors of lion, what the lion does, what the lion eats, how the lion stays, that is the Sun. That's the character of the Sun. Sun also, since Sun represents authority, government, who is the government authority within the house? It is the father. So Sun represents father because father becomes the government of the home. Then Sun, like I said, can be seen anywhere, right? Sun is seen from all over the place. So whatever is seen, it represents the Sun. Whatever is bright and shiny represents the Sun. So what is bright in a more of a metaphorical term? Fame. When somebody is famous, okay, let's say Amitabh Bachchan, famous, Michael Jordan, famous, Shah Rukh Khan, famous. Everybody sees them. Everybody knows about them. Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Of course I've heard of them. Barack Obama, of course I've heard of them. Everybody in the world has heard of them. That's the Sun. That's the influence of the Sun. Without that influence of the Sun, one cannot find that fame. Then, Sun also represents one's rise and fall. So you get the fame, right? You got the fame. How did you get the fame? You were rising to get the fame. And represents the fall. Why it represents the rise and fall of a person? Sun specifically, because Sun itself rises and falls from east to west. And when it comes to then directions, Sun represents the east. So if somebody's Sun is very strong in their chart, they will always live on the eastern side of the country, eastern side of the land. Because Sun rises from the east. So the direction of Sun is east. So when Sun is strong, you're going to go towards that direction. When Sun is weak, you're going to go towards the opposite direction. And sometimes, when people move, They say somebody was on East Coast, moves to the West Coast. Somebody who's in West Coast of a country moves to the East Coast. Why is that happening? Is their sun going up and down? Is sun gains strength and loses strength? No, this is where you then have to look at the dasha. From the dasha planet, is sun becoming strong or weak? If it becomes weak, they're going to go more towards the West Coast. If it becomes strong, it's going to go more towards the East Coast. Then sun represents energy, vitality, strength. Why? Because sun is energy, solar energy. Sun is able to charge a battery. Sun is able to charge us. If sun is not here, we're going to be just sleeping all day long. We're not going to have any strength. We're not going to have any desire to get up and work. It is the sun's power that gets us going. Sun, body-wise, represents bones. How strong are your bones? Sun represents the heart. Sun represents the stomach. Sun also, they say, represents the head. Why? Because sun is exalted in the ascendant. Although Mars represents the brain, okay? But sun represents this, the heart structure, which is the bone, the skull. So that is the sun. This is why, because sun is exalted in the ascendant. So it has to represent that thing. So if you get a head injury, will you recover from that head injury? Always look at the sun. How is sun operating? Will sun be operating in its antradasha, paryantradasha? And it's strong is strong. If it's strong, okay, you'll recover from that head injury. And believe me, before you go into, oh, my sun is debilitated, oh, my sun is in this sign or it's conjunct Saturn, that's not how the strength of the planet is seen. It is much more complicated than just seeing debilitated and saying, oh, your sun is weak. That's junk astrology. That's not real astrology. So please remember that. Sun represents spiritual progress and enlightenment. Why? Because sun represents the creation. Sun, we are created because of the sun. Forget even the universe. Okay, because of the sun, we are surviving. And sun is reincarnation of Lord Brahm. Sun is also represented by Vishnu, ultimate enlightened beings. The sun represents progress, and especially, as you know, Uttara Ashada is a nakshatra ruled by sun. And Uttara Ashada represents enlightenment as well. So you can relate to it in this way. And especially if you look at the sign of Aries, the Desh Kalpatra, the sign of Aries is that first zodiac sign, right? Sun rules the fifth house of ancient knowledge, spiritual knowledge, sacred knowledge. From the sign of Pisces, sun rules the ninth house of spiritual knowledge, philosophical knowledge, religious knowledge, gurus, dharma, pilgrimage. And obviously from the Leo sign itself, sun rules the body. So the body is the one, the soul, the body is trying to do certain karmas to attain enlightenment and spiritual knowledge. That's another way you can look at what the planet represents. Look at it from each angle, from its trinal, trikon signs. Then sun obviously represents honey, honey-colored eyes, orange color. Sun represents wheat. Sun represents copper. The metal copper is represented by the sun. People also say gold, but really gold is truly Saturn. Gold is, because remember, Saturn is a karka of metals. All the metals in the world, iron, steel, platinum, silver, gold, is all created through pressure, which is Saturn. They're all underground, which is what? Saturn. But sun becomes the significator of gold because gold is that color of the sun. It shines bright. And obviously the prices of gold can be seen through sun's transit, but really the formation of gold is through Saturn. And sun Obviously, authorities represent, I should have said that earlier, represents king. Anybody who's a leader, a king, the CEO, president is the sun. So if your sun is strong, but you look at any person who becomes a CEO of a company, president of a company, their sun is the strongest. Somehow, some way, it's becoming a strong planet. So take any top 10 CEOs of company, from Bill Gates to Steve Jobs to Elon Musk and Richard Branson, or from Microsoft new CEO, Google's new CEO. You look at their sun is very, very strong. Then, obviously, in metals or gems, sun represents ruby. Now, obviously, this is in Vedic astrological sense. You know how gems are related to planets. So ruby is seen through the sun. And one thing you got to realize, the reason why ruby is really connected to the sun is not simply because it's a red color. It's because ruby is more precious than diamond. Rubies are far more harder to mine compared to a diamond. Blue sapphire and ruby are the hardest to mine. So ruby actually sometimes become much more valuable than a diamond itself. Sun represents sand. Sun represents beaches. Because remember, what is a beach? Beach is this edge of the water, right? And water is moon. And water is cool. It's a cooler place of sea. Even in summer, if you go deep into the sea, if you go diving, if you do like deep sea diving, it becomes cold. So that's not the sun. When you go on the sand, the beach, people are getting sunburned, right? You go to the beach to get a tan. You go to the beach to get sunburn. So the sand and beaches represent sun, not the water itself, not the sea, not the ocean. The beach, that transition of the end of the water's edge and sand, is known as by the sun. Now, sun known as a very good moral character. Sun is known as the priest. Sun is known as somebody who's the guiding light. But sun also represents someone who fondles with women and destroys women. Now think about it. Why is sun also, its Karkavasta, known as somebody who destroys women and somebody who fondles with women? Somebody who kind of has a low character. Now, this is according to these classical texts. If you look at now, 2018, literally 90% of the people, you can say, are low character then, because men hit on women. When they go to the bar, they talk to women, they try to swindle them, they try to get their number. It's known as something regular. Even somebody who has a PhD, somebody who is a brilliant engineer, goes out to clubbing, goes out to with friends, wants to be with some woman, dance with the woman. So sun represents that part in us that fondles with women, but also sun represents that part that wants to control a woman, wants to tell her, no, this is what's going to happen, this is not going to happen, you're going to go by my rules or not. Now, why is it this part important? Remember, what did I say about the fire ascendants? Sun is debilitated 7th from the sign of Aries. And because it's debilitated 7th from sign of Aries, and it controls the 5th house of our past life deeds, our righteous deeds, mantras, and good morals, they go and get destroyed when dealing with the women. So here the ego, and sun is the ego, that wanting to show that I am this one drop who is separate from every other drop. That's the ego. So think of me and you who are watching me right now. Think of you and me as this a drop with with an aura around us. Every single drop has this aura around us. It's an invisible aura known as the ego. And we are thinking that, okay, this is me, my face, my looks, my clothes, my accessories. This is me. Who are you? Tell me about you. That's Lord Ram and Vishnu just having fun with us. That's how I look at it. They just laugh at us, and all the higher beings, all the higher enlightened beings, know that 99.9999% of the people are stupid. Idiots, absolute idiots walking around with degrees and engineering degrees and with PhDs, being presidents of countries, and people who are doing all the charity work in the world. Everybody's stupid and idiot. Let me tell you that right now. If you go to an enlightened being, somebody who's, let's say, in a cave just meditating, who knows what this universe is about, and you go up to them and you say, please bless me with wealth. First of all, the first thing they're going to do, they're probably going to slap you. And you'll be like, why? Why did you do that? I just came here for your blessings to get wealth. Well, guess what? By them slapping you, they actually killed off probably 500 lives worth of bad karmas. That's the number one thing that they do. This is why actually I want to be slapped by a yogi. Some highly brilliant yogi. I want to go to India and say, please just slap me. But then they also slap you because they see what a ignorant, stupid human being this person is, coming to me, disturbing my peace and my, buffet of fun by asking for something as stupid as wealth and all of this. So this is why it's very important to understand this ego. This ego is what keeps us going in a competitive manner. Okay, this ego is what makes us think that we have to defeat the enemy, we have to do this, we have to do that. So this is why Sun also represents sports. Sun, Venus, Mars represents sports, especially Sun, because it is the ego that says, I want to compete with you. Sports, what are sports? You are competing with one human being or something of a trophy, a crown. So Sun is the king. Sun represents, and what does the king wear? A crown, right? So what do they do now when you win a championship? They give you a trophy. You get a trophy, you get an MVP trophy, you get a ring. And most of the sports ring have rubies in them. Pretty much most of the sports ring that I've seen have rubies in them. They will have a diamond, but somehow ruby will be in there. So coming back to our thing, our ego wants to project ourselves in our lowest form towards the other person. So back in the days, they always made astrology for like in a manly vocabulary. A man will beget sons. A man will do this. So in that way, this simply shows one will who will fondle with women and one will who will destroy women. But this can also go for women. A woman who may fondle with men, who may destroy men. So it's not just men or women. It's both. Obviously, in this day and age, it's representing fame, right? So Sun is the fame because Sun is right there at noontime. So Sun represents noontime. Like right now, it's going to be noon soon. So Sun is right there. Rose 30 degrees and now it's almost at 90 degrees. So Sun represents daytime. Okay. But what do we have to do to look at the Sun? What do we have to do to look at the Sun? So I'm here working, right? Or I'm just walking. I'm walking my dog. But if I want to see where the Sun is, I have to look up. And that's where I see the Sun. Okay? If I'm, let's say, walking during the sunrise or sunset, I'm going to look in the straight direction. I'm going to look in that direction. So most of the time throughout the day, we're looking up. And at sunrise or before the sunrise and after the sunset, we're looking at the plane. So now think about it. When you look up, you're looking at the sun. But what is also up at the when you look up? It's the sky, stars, galaxies, moon, planets. And study of this is, yes, I said Jyotish, right? Astrology. This is why sun represents it, but sun also represents astronomy. Rahu represents astronomy now, especially due to the fact it represents aerospace and aerospace science. But sun is actually astronomy. Because in order to be astronomer, now you look in your computer, right? No, but you actually, true astronomer looks up at the sky and he looks at the telescope. So looking up is sun. So king, what happens when the king used to come in front of you? You would go like this and you'd be like, please bless me. Like you would look up. So sun represents astronomy and studying of the stars. When you look at the mountain peak, sun represents the mountain, right? So when you look at a mountain, you look up. Wow, look at that mountain. How high is that? You see, you praise the mountain. My God, Mount Everest. Oh my goodness, that is so tall. Then sun, due to this phenomena that I told you, looking straight at the sunrise, looking straight at the sunset, sun represents the gain and loss of ancestral land. Your ancestral land is seen through the sun. Why? Because when you're looking straight, you're actually looking at the plane of the land. Both ways, when sun is going down and rising up. So rising is the gain. Setting sun is the loss. Rising of the sun, exaltation. Setting of the sun, debilitation. So gain and loss of lands are seen from that. And sun, as I said, represents sons. So if let's say someone has 6 sons, 7 sons, sun is the karka of sun. Moon represents the karka of daughters. Venus represents the karka of daughters. Government jobs are represented by the sun. Working under the kingship is sun. So pretty much government jobs are represented by the sun. Anytime you work in a government sector, even if people are working for NGO, non-profit organizations, they are all connected with the government. So that's the sun. Sun also represents Shiva and Vishnu. Worship of Shiva and Vishnu. So Vishnu is the creator of everything. Shiva is the destroyer of everything. How can you relate this with the sun? Creator and destroyer. I was just talking about it, right? Rise and sunset. Rise, life is rising, light is coming, flowers are blooming, summer is here. Sun represents the summer. Winter is when sun is at its weakest. Setting of the sun is death, dying. And Shiva is death and especially transformation. So Shiva actually represents that twilight time when the sun is going from below the horizon. Transformation is happening. Shiva, the destroyer, is not just a destroyer. Shiva says, I'm going to here to transform things. Transformation is process of one thing changing to another. So let's say we know that Shiva is going to destroy this entire universe, right? All the galaxies, everything is going to be gone, and it's just going to be nothing but blank space. So what did Shiva do? Shiva is not just a god of death. It's a god of transformation. He transformed all of these things that we see in the sky into just complete darkness. Shiva represents process. Shiva's not like, okay, I'm here, death, gone. No, Shiva says, I'm here to do something. Shiva is the process of change, process of transforming from one thing to another. So let's say I have all these things on my desk. I've got pens and staplers and lighter, watch, whatnot. If I was to take my hand and throw everything out, the process of me doing that is the energy of Shiva, the power of Shiva. So this is why sun represents Shiva, and Vishnu is simply the arrival of something. Vishnu is saying that I'm creating something. So Vishnu itself is a transformation. This is why they say everything changes except the change itself, because Vishnu is doing the process of change. It is whatever was destroyed to its blank thing is now coming again to the light thing. So both Shiva and Vishnu are exactly the same thing. They're both doing the transformation. One does the transformation to the black, one does transformation to the white. Look at this. This is so crazy. Shiva and Vishnu. They're both on this here. Light, darkness. So that's Shiva. And if you know, why is it that we pour milk and water on Shivling? Anybody know why do we actually pour milk? Yes, water is moon and milk is moon, and Shiva, has a crescent moon and the Ganga is flowing. There's all these stories of that. But this is something I actually learned from not only the guru who told me back in 2010, start pouring milk on Shivling, but this is actually something Sanjay Rath discussed. I was like, wow, yes, that is so true. Because pouring water on Shivling, okay, destroys all your past life sins. You're destroying your past life sins. So that's why you first pour water on Shivling. So, because remember, and there's a reason why I'm saying this right now. Shivling is sun. When you pour water on something which is heated, it turns into steam, right? Steam comes out. Things are happening. Transformation is happening. You're burning through that steam your karma. Why do we pour milk on Shivling? So once you pour water, then you come back the next day or some other time and pour milk. Milk is about prosperity. Okay, so now that I've destroyed my sins, let me bring in more prosperity. So you pour milk. Like, for example, let's say your Mercury is weak, you put in green leaves on Shivling. Jupiter, yellow flowers. Venus, white sweets. Moon, like I said, milk. Saturn, they say, is oil. Mars is, the sindoor? The sindoor is Mars. You offer that. Shivling. So the thing about Shivling is that Shivling represents the transformation. And it is the sun. Sun gives us life. Right? Sun is life. Without sun, there's no life. End of story. No life. But what does Shivling represent? Shivling represents a male penis penetrating female vagina, which is what? Creation. So you see, Shiva is not the god of just destruction, god of transformation and life. Shiva takes out all the things that are useless, bring in things which are useful. So life is what? Sun. Shivling is about creating life, because how is a life created? Through sexual intercourse. I hope nobody young is watching me here. Goodness. But that is what Shivling is. So this was the meaning of the sun. Now, sun can represent many other things. Like I said in the beginning, sun can represent 4 or 5 different items within your own home. Like if you learn Vastu Shastra, I think it's very important that people should learn Vastu Shastra, because you will learn which item representing what. One item will represent Rahu. Rahu, Mercury, Mars will represent like electronic items. Like if you have like a photography camera, like this webcam is Rahu. So if let's say your webcam breaks down all the time, your camera breaks down all the time, probably your Rahu is not in good shape. You gotta improve Rahu. If your communication devices in the home, if you have, let's say, broken cell phones within the home, and your phones just do not work, that's probably your Mercury is not good. So what do you have to do? Throw out all the bad things that are not working. Always fix your phone. That keeps improving the vibration, the frequency of Mercury. Don't think of Mercury as a planet being fixed. Think of Mercury as the frequency being fixed. So this is how you know, like sun. What did I say in the very beginning? What will sun represent in a home? Sun will represent where your puja is, the place of worship. The temple. Sun represents the temple. That's what sun is. Where do you keep your government documents? Let's say your passport, your government ID, your taxes, whatever, everything that you keep, that place becomes the sun. So I can, like, we can keep going on many things. There are fruits, vegetables controlled by the sun, and I should have included that, but I didn't. But I mean, the thing is, there's so many that I don't remember. I'm not using that in my everyday life. You see, that's why I forget them. I'm not using them in my consultations. I'm not using them in my daily work life. That like sun represents this and that. Okay, fine, it represents that. But these are the things that I've told you right now is something that you will use every day. You will deal with it every day. Most of you will visit even if you live in a flat plane, you will visit some place with a mountain. Why are you visiting that place with a mountain? Why are you trying to hike and climb some mountain? Look where the sun is. They'll tell you a whole lot. Okay? So this was my analysis, ladies and gentlemen, of the sun. We'll cover moon in a couple of days. I'll go quick through this so we can then start on the Navamsha. And the other series, we will continue on with that. But I really thought, I'm like, you know what? Before I go to Navamsha, it's quite important to learn just this foundational basic of planets. Okay? And it's funny, I don't think I've ever discussed planets this way. So yeah, so anyway, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your sun is placed, all your planetary details, my books, reports, consultations, go to astrologycares.com. Otherwise, we'll see you. Yes, definitely I'll see you tomorrow because I have to make the conjunction video tomorrow. I'll make it tonight. And then the Lord through, I think no. Yeah, I'll finish Lord through houses too this week. Sun in the 12th house in Sagittarius. Okay. See you later. Bye-bye.